have Josh help me with the framing, so yeah, that'll be good for another day. But here we are, sponsored by Fantasy Draft. It's Nolan, it's EMAC, and it's Monday Night Football live before lock. We are good to go. I'm gonna hit the buttons on the tweets and all of the good stuff. How was your NFL Sunday? As I'm doing all this fun stuff. Oh yeah, 49ers fan. Screw you.
Damn, it's looking good right now, man. I think I don't know. I'm looking at a Baltimore San Fran Super Bowl right now.
Oh,
I'll tell you who the pretenders are, though, UMac. The worst 10-2 team in the history of the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks.
well, they are the best 7-9 team in the history of the NFL teams. You can ask the Saints about that. So we do have that in common. But oh my gosh, what a comeback victory there for. Well, was that really a comeback? That was just a back and forth game.
Yeah, like I've heard it described as a slugfest in a boxing match, and like those are cliches, but they're pretty spot on in this case, man. That was just like two heavyweights going toe to toe, slinging shots. It was a fun game to watch, and I hope we get a rematch in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be exciting. It always gets a little dicey when I because I still do a ton of content on Sundays, so I don't always get to follow along as close as I did, but I went and watched the last part of that game because I swear every single time I went in to look at it, on my computer, another score was up. I was just like, this is absolutely insane, and it literally was insane.
Yeah, it really was so good. I can't believe we have one Thursday night showdown, only 3 real like nighttime showdown slates left all year. It's crazy how quickly that ended. Like there'll be other showdowns, but in terms of single game action, this is it.
Yeah, it's gone by quickly. We're approaching week 15, but we still have 5 good weeks of DFS because you have 15, 16, and 17. 17's a little messy. But then you get the first 2 weeks of the playoffs are solid because they have 2 games each day, and they do the 4, 3, 2, and then the Saturday 2 only. So you get all sorts of slates. Plus you get showdown for all of them, etc. So it's actually kind of fun. And then we're stuck with 1 game or 2 games, and then the Super Bowl, and you're like, oh, this is a huge letdown. But once you lose red zone, it goes real slow because there's lots of commercials.
I know, right? Like Red Zone's such a game changer. I actually turned off Red Zone yesterday. I just watched the 49ers game, and like sometimes it's good, like it's good to do that once in a while because Red Zone, like it gives you this kind of weird sort of, I don't know, it doesn't like give you a feel for how the games really go, right? It's great, it's entertaining, but it's nice to just watch one once in a while too.
Yeah, my wife yells when I watch Red Zone. She's like, I was getting into that other game, and now that team's not playing. What's going on?
That is fair.
He's like, well, she's like, God, I hate this thing. And then I make her watch the touchdown montage, which she also does not like. She's like, I've already seen them all. I'll say, oh, come watch this. But she goes, I'm going to see it again. So she sits there, and every time Scott Hansen says touchdown, she mockingly says, touchdown. I'm like, this ruining my viewing experience.
That's fair. That's fair.
But there we are. All right. Well, God, we've got to talk about this. I guess we do. Hall of Famer Eli Manning is back on the field. I don't know how I feel about the Hall of Fame.
If he loses tonight, he's under 500.
That is probably the best subplot there is, but there's a decent chance that he plays the next couple weeks as well with the high ankle sprain. Therefore,
well, so he's pretty much guaranteed to be under 500.
Be a losing record. Yes.
I'm not on Team Eli for the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you
You're
that.
Not?
No way.
Not even knocking out the vaunted Patriots twice.
I mean, good God, if like Manningham and Tyree don't make that catch, we're not even make those 2 catches. We're not even talking about this at all. So I think if he's not even in the conversation, if those guys don't make 2 random catches, it's the craziest catches you ever saw in your life. So I think that's my take.
How about the Fantasy Hall of Fame?
Sure. Okay. As long as he passes the Saquon tonight, that's all I care.
So here's what we've got, and I'm gonna read this off. I put the link into chat. We've got, I think I put the link in. Yeah, we've got each of this is going back. So starting with last year and going back reverse chronological order, so each most recent season reaching back. These are the season high passing yards in a single game for him: 399, 434, 403, 431, 429, 450, 510, 420, 386, 391, 305, 312, 371, 352. So in his last 8 seasons, he has had at least one game of 399 yards or more.
That's crazy. Is this the game? I mean, it certainly could be. This Philadelphia Eagles secondary is not so great.
It's a tradition. I always write some article starting off with Eli, you trickster. You always suck us in.
So
but I haven't had a chance to write that yet.
Locking in Eli in the captain spot tonight.
No. I think I ranked him 7th, if I remember correctly.
That's fair.
And I mean, my highlight was, yes, he is one of 2 starting quarterbacks in this game. That's what we've got.
Fair. How are you approaching this one? I've got, it looks like, according to our rankings and according to the Osmo Top Tax tool, Saquon Barkley is going to be the top captain play. I don't think that's going to catch anyone off guard. 13% ownership we have for DraftKings, 30% odds of being the top play. I'm guessing, I haven't double checked this, but I'm guessing he is far and away the most expensive player on the slate. He is, Carson Wentz is. So, kind of like, I like some unique scenarios where you can captain Barkley and then bring it back with 5 Eagles if you want. Like, there's a lot of different ways to go here.
I think that's actually a reasonable way of doing it. I think that's going to be very common, actually.
And all of those will have Dallas Goedert in them. My God, is he underpriced tonight?
There are on DK. There's definitely some underpriced guys out there, so we'll talk about them. Let's kind of hit this my position. I'm making some lineups here, but we kind of hit the highlight there with Eli. So I said his over under tonight on most of the wagering sites is 247 to 249.5. So not really exciting. Philadelphia is the 13th overall DVOA, and they're for defense. They're 8th against the rush, 15th against the pass. They have allowed multiple passing touchdowns in half of their games. So there is that, and we know we can attack them deep. What's the one thing Eli probably can't do anymore?
Attack deep, but
throw it deep and throw it accurately at the same time. He can do one or the other. So.
That's fair. I like the idea of I hope his ADOT stays down around 4, and Saquon Barkley is just going ham tonight. That's what I'm hoping.
I think that's going to be a popular strategy or thought. So I am actually kind of going away from Saquon Barkley. And as if Tommy and Christo asks, how many Saquon captain lineups do you have that also has Eli? I haven't built my lineups yet because I'm trying to fix some NBA ones right now. Shout out to the Fred Van Elite contest there. Fred Van Vliet is out, for those of you that may not be aware. So there we are. I am not going very heavy on Barkley in my captain spot. I am not really going very heavy on Eli. I suspect Eli will be on about 20% of my lineups total, and I suspect Barkley will be on maybe half. And that's conscious decision by my part. I just, at some point, you would think they would shut Barkley down.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got now. So I went and looked ahead. You're like, oh, okay, well, they're not going to shut him down tonight. Nah, it's Monday Night Football. They still have 2 more home games, Week 15 and Week 17. I could. Oh, I see. I have a typo there to warp up the season. Awesome, nice job by me. But I think that he'll for sure play through next week, and then who knows. But if you look at his overall loads, they haven't been that great, even though he's been on the field like a madman. 96 and 97% of the snaps the last 2 weeks, with 14 snaps going to other running backs. 9 of those were Elijah Penny. So I think they're going to shut him down at some point, but probably not tonight, probably not next week. I could see it being the last 2 weeks of the season, though. He's dinged up. We know running backs only have so many carries in their bodies if they're not named Emmitt Smith. And to waste them on a season like this just seems kind of silly for the kind of money that they're going to be giving to him. That said, I don't see anybody stepping in and doing better. So this is more of me just not really trusting in the Giants at all. Golden Tate, I am somewhat interested in. He is done with the concussion protocol, and he and Eli actually haven't played together
Mhm.
this season, obviously because Tate was suspended for the first 4 games, and then Eli was dethroned at that point when Tate got back in. Evan Ingram's out, so you've got Tate, you've got Shepard and Slayton. It's not like Eli really has a rapport with any of these guys. I mean, would you want to be Slayton or Shepard on the outside with Eli as your quarterback? Probably not.
Yeah.
So for me, Caden Smith, baby, 2,500 on DraftKings.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great play. I think we really have two bargains that are pretty obvious. One of them is Caden Smith, and the other is Greg Ward, who is going to get in probably insane ownership at just $200. But I don't know. I like him. I think it's a great play, but we've seen this not work very well with Mac Hollins in the past at low ownership too. So I like that call though. Yeah, Caden Smith seems like a solid play tonight for sure.
Yeah, and for me, it's the 14 targets over the last 2 weeks. So it just forget everything. He's close to the line. There really is no other backup tight end, but he's so cheap. So I'll take it. I'll hope he gets he's better on the PPR. I'm hoping for 3, 4, maybe 5 catches if we're lucky, and 10 yards a catch. Not very exciting, but that does facilitate, one, you playing a giant, and two, salary to use everywhere else. So I think that is going to be one of the more popular builds, along with the Saquon, and then play a bunch of Eagles.
And he's got some nice periphery numbers as well, Caden Smith. He's got he's run 70 routes over the past 2 weeks. He's got about a 90 to 95% snap count over those 2 weeks, averaging 1.26 yards per route run, which is just kind of mediocre. And then 13 targets, 11 receptions, 87 yards. Like at that price point, you're just not going to find that level of I think there's decent floor there and some upside as well. So one of my favorite plays for sure.
Yeah, and that's it's going to be one of those things. So we'll see how it comes out in the wash, but that's kind of where I am, and that hits most of the Giants skill position guys there. So nothing overly exciting. Can you play their defense? Yeah, sure. I had the weirdest build in my main lineup last night. It ended up working out. It could have been absolute gold, but I had Gurley as my captain, and then I had both quarterbacks and both defenses. I've never done that before. I mean, I probably have in a mini lineup, but not like my main lineup. Third of my cash in play was on that lineup, and it worked out. Both defenses got it done. That was fun.
Nice. That's awesome.
So there we are for that one. But tonight, yeah, kind of a whatevs moment, I guess, with regards to the Giants. If we look at Carson Wentz, I think he's going to be in the majority of my lineups. I'm not really enthralled by it, but it's a way to get kind of a piece of every touchdown because I'm going with Miles Sanders as my main captain tonight.
Yeah, that's fair. I like that call. I mean, I think you can also you can pair up some stacks where you have it's 9.5 favorites. You can pair up maybe Jay Ajayi as well with him and the Eagles defense and some stacks, and that would be like a narrative for some kind of blowout. We're seeing Sanders get the bulk of the workload so far, but Jay Ajayi still got 9 offensive snaps last week, and if this is a blowout and Sanders gets some run, then you're probably going to see his workload increase as well. And then you probably don't want to bring that back with Saquon, but I don't know, maybe like his work we'll see if his work in the passing game increases as with Daniel Jones out this week. So I like that call. I like going with Sanders in the captain spot, though. I think the easiest way to attack this Giants defense is probably through the air. We've noted on this show, I think before, that DeAndre Baker, their rookie left corner, and Janoris Jenkins have both been pretty bad this year. Both of them have kind of been in that bottom 5 or 10 cornerbacks in terms of PFF grading and yards per allowed per snap. So if you want to beat this team, you can beat them on the outside. I mean, there are a number of ways to beat the Giants, but I'm totally with you there.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I'm a little different with that, but not. Are you ever really different unless you're being stupid on a showdown slate? And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that
it's a good point though. Like it's like you kind of have to make like lineups that don't make sense sometimes, right? And like as you know, I'm guilty of trying for too much correlation sometimes and trying to like make the perfect lineup, and like everyone's trying to make that perfect lineup, and so sometimes just like opting for highly projected lineups that don't carry a lot of ownership is just the way to go. And then maybe not focusing, like you don't want to, put your captain spot. You probably don't want to put your captain in the captain spot with no receivers. That's probably not a recipe for success, but I think that's actually worked before. So it's just like, it's crazy to try and figure these out sometimes, but
yeah, a lot of it depends on personnel and game and etc. I mean, like last night, last night was just really weird, and it ended up working out in an odd way for me. But so I had Higbee everywhere, and that turned out to be a huge thing. And people didn't. They were like, "Oh, it's too much. I don't want to pay for him." And I kept saying, "That's fine. Let's just look at the numbers. Forget who he is, and forget what we paid last week. That was last week. He's not cheap anymore." And he still had a phenomenal game. And who knew it was Rashad Penny that was going to just disappear. We'd like to think we know what's going on in these things, but we don't.
Yeah. There's always variables. There's always things that you're not able to. I think it's like the Siege who says like you should play a backup quarterback and you'll be profitable or long. And like people make fun of him for that, but I think he's probably right. Like I think if you entered one single bullet, I know Osmo will probably disagree with it too, but I think if you entered one single bullet and you put a backup quarterback in, like in some of these like the largest GPPs you can find kind of thing, you might like all it takes is one right over time. And we've already seen it this year with Mahomes going out in that game. I mean, we saw it last night. If you take a backup with Penny going out, but there's a million scenarios on ways to win this.
Yeah, and that was who is it? Colin Drewby. He posted his, and I would put him and Big T up there as probably and Alex as the best Showdown slate guys. Just because they're consistently up there. But but Drewby posted his thing over since he started just crushing to what we thought was crushing Showdowns. And if you had removed, I think 4 of his best weeks across the 60 Showdowns he's played, he was a losing player.
Jeez, that's
and he's crazy. Just like, look, he goes, this is incredibly. He goes, I've been fortunate to do this, and it's just like, wow, there's someone that legitimately you would think is on top of it, and even they're saying, this is a little bit of lady luck has to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to get lucky. I think you gotta be smart, and you got to be able to craft unique lineups that no one else is going to have to hit on some of these when actually weird things do happen. But also kind of give yourself a floor when to make some of your cash back. So, I mean, if you're 150 maxing, the good news is you do have that option to kind of create a lot of different possible lineups. So I personally am a 20 maxer for the most part. So it's a little bit harder to get all those combos, but
interesting. Somehow, there we go. I was trying to upload my stuff here into Cruncher, but I had my Windows reversed there. I kept saying, why do I keep uploading this? Well, it's because I had Pick'em instead of Showdown up. There is no Pick'em tonight.
I'm getting way too much JHI.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So let's wrap up the rest of the things, and then we'll kind of talk construction and stuff. So Wentz in most of the projection systems this week, so all quarterbacks, he's been just right on the edge of being like literally number 5. So he's 4, 5, 6, or 7 in all of the different projection systems that I looked at. And I wanted to point out that 3 of the last 5 quarterbacks that faced the Giants have thrown at least 3 touchdowns: Stafford, Prescott, and Aaron Rodgers. Okay, I'll put Wentz up there with him. It's reasonable. He's got reasonable options, and he can do that. It's not like they're definitely going to lean on the run, with Miles Sanders, etc. But I said over this time, New York has allowed the 2nd most fantasy points and has the 3rd worst passing DVOA this season. So that keeps Wentz kind of as my number 2 guy. Howard, I believe we have it ruled out. I didn't pull up actives. Do that. But I think he was ruled out earlier today. So it's going to be Sanders, who, was amazing last week for his DFS backers. The first 2 weeks where he kind of had that role, not so much, but it wasn't because he wasn't on the field. It just didn't go his way. Let me see. No surprise inactives. Red Ellison and Evan Ingram we knew were going to be out for the Giants. Wayne Gallman, but he's basically gotten no love for the last few weeks. They're starting, or not starting. They picked up Javorius Allen off waivers, and he's been playing over Wayne Gallman. That's got to burn.
Yeah.
Aguilar is out. That was also expected, but he's out. And then, of course, Jordan Howard is out. So no real surprises there from the offensive standpoint.
Yeah, so I think like the Aguilar being out, you're just going to see more. They're going to go back to their two tight end sets a lot, which makes Goddard just like one of the best plays on the slate, if not the best play on the slate. He's super cheap. I think they mispriced him, and he's running almost as many routes and getting almost as much time on the field as Zach Ertz. So I kind of view them as almost equal plays. You got to give the edge to Ertz because he's got the production, but the price discrepancy between those two makes Goddard the far better play. I also, if you like to sprinkle a little cheddar, I feel like Goddard 10-1 for first touchdown score, last touchdown score. That's always a fun bet to make. He's paid off before, I'll tell you that much.
Nolan dropping the little nuggets there.
Yeah, I like my random tight ends as my first touchdown scores. It's the Pat Mayo experience way.
Is this a Canadian thing?
Huh?
Is this a Canadian thing?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's Canadian. I always forget that.
I know he likes his PGA. I know he likes 2-day leader, first day leader, etc. So that's the scoring first and scoring last would be the NFL version of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so how much Greg Ward are you getting to here?
He's only 200. I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah.
I believe this is Greg Ward Jr. Greg Ward Jr. from Houston. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm. Converted quarterback, I think.
Yes, that's where I was going. So he played both quarterback and wide receiver in college. It ended up, I believe, the quarterback is junior year or senior year. He turned into the main guy. So he is very talented. Surprised that he's that cheap. Is there enough footballs to go around for everybody? That's the real question.
Could see a trick play here, though. Passing touchdown, the Philly special.
I was just going to say, feels like we've been down this road before.
I don't know. Maybe they don't bring it out. They probably don't need to bring it out tonight because it's the Giants. But, I would say, watch that for future Eagles showdown slates if they make the playoffs here.
All right. Put that in there, 80%. And if we got so going down to the Eagles wide receiver specifically, Jeffrey came back last week, had season high 16 targets. In the 3 games before he left with his ankle injury, he had 19 total. He turned those into 9 for 137 and 1. But I like him. I give Greg Ward the slight nod over JJ Arcega-Whiteside, mainly because Ward is 1/10 of the price on DraftKings. They're both 60. I think they're both 6,500 over there on FanDuel. I really don't have interest in them on FanDuel. But and I wanted to remind everybody, if you're using an optimizer or whatever, Jordan Matthews has been waived, so he's not on the team right now.
And Matt Collins as well.
Okay, that's a good one to know. So then Zach Ertz and Goddard, as you mentioned, I totally agree with your assessment. Over the last 3 games, Ertz has 10.3 targets per game. Goddard has 7 targets a game. And the Eagles run about two tight ends about 65% of the time or so.
And I think so. That was like with Aguilar back though. What I'm just trying to remember. Like, did he missed last week, right? So
yes. No, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago. So in that game that he missed, they ran about 85%. They ran a lot more two tight end sets.
Yep. So we should see that more. So kind of the point being there is this favors the tight ends more than it really does the extra receivers. Aguilar being out, or the tertiary receivers, I should say, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Are you getting to any Wentz in your captain spot?
I will let it go 15 or 20. I haven't done it yet. I'm trying to do these. I played these Monday to Thursday contests, and I'm having trouble getting my data.
If you're crunching on Fantasy Cruncher, just make sure you pull two tips. Make sure you pull Aguilar out. It looks like he's still in there for some reason. He's still in our projections, so make sure you're not getting any of him. And as well, make sure you set it so that your defense you can allow players against your defense, because otherwise you will get 0 defense, and that can be a bit of a dangerous spot to be in when you have an Eagles defense in a really good spot like tonight.
Yep. And the other thing you can always do is click on the injuries tab, and you can see who's got who's there or not. So if you look on Fantasy Crunch over on the far right, there's a button that says injuries. If you click on that, it'll show everybody that has the injury designation, and that allows you to take a quick look to see if you've got some guys that you've projected that you probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. We our projections are not giving Greg Ward. I think. Oh, maybe I just haven't updated. That's probably what's happening.
It looked like it's pulling up for me without Aguilar now. So
yeah, okay. Because Greg Ward, I think we should have projected for about 7 points tonight. And yeah, okay, never mind. I just hadn't updated, so it's all good. You don't have to worry about that if you're crunching now.
I like how we leave the players in and have a 0 with them sometimes. That's also helpful.
Yeah.
I was going to pass that along and say, hey, we should do that as kind of our default baseline, just so it wipes out anything if you've been looking at something all week and then you're in a mad scramble. I know we do for basketball, but I was going to pass that along for football to make sure that's our regular protocol. There you go. An on-air meeting there, chat, just for you guys.
I like it.
Let's see. And then Eagles defense to wrap things up here before we start talking lineup construction and other fun. We have, let's see. I said, who is excited for the chance to see the Manning face one more time? It could be after a turnover or even after a commercial break. But we should all celebrate this potential opportunity to bring joy back into our lives. The Giants have 28 turnovers on the season, which is the second most in the league, and they're allowing almost 3 sacks per game. Play the Eagles defense.
And Daniel Jones has a little bit of fumbleitis. Just he's learned from the best, you know. So yes. I think the Eagles D is a great play tonight. I just think about your roster construction when you're doing it. Saquon Barkley, I think, as well. Wayne Gallman is out, so it's just really Javorius Allen backing him up. And then, on the Philly side, Derek Barnett, right defensive end, out. But other than that, you still got Fletcher Cox, you still got Brendan Graham, one of the top defensive lines and top pass rushes in the league, going up against a bottom third, I'd say, pass blocking unit for the Giants. So that's going to not allow a lot of time for Eli to pass, I am guessing, unless they design some plays to just dump it out there quickly, which is where you like Saquon in this scenario. But if they are not able to get that ball out quickly, this Eagles front should be able to get to Eli Manning, and I'm expecting a couple turnovers today.
So the interesting thing, if you're playing these Monday to Thursday games, is you got Lamar Jackson, going against the Jets defense. So we like Lamar Jackson a lot. So allow yourself to get a bunch of Lamar. You don't have to worry about playing him with this pass catcher, so you can go for some of these other guys here. But I'm going to play half Lamar in those contests, then Wentz, and then I'm going to split it between Darnold. You know what? I'm going to have to play 80% Wentz and Lamar Jackson because I can't bring myself to say 10% Eli Manning. That just that's not going to happen. Let me see here. What other things? Looking ahead to that one, I think Barkley's adequate, but I'm not overly fired up for him. I really like Sanders. I think Mark Ingram is a decent play on those. And then Le'Veon Bell, remember, he was just sick, so he didn't have any injuries. Bilal Powell had an X-ray on his foot. Good chance he may not play next week. But again, you've got Bell, who should be coming back. Now, it's a tough matchup against Baltimore, but maybe some people won't remember that. And then with regards to the wide receivers, I kind of like the guys in tonight's game as opposed to the guys in Thursday night's games, because you got Crowder and Robbie Anderson that got to go against Baltimore. But then on the flip side, you've got a perpetually dinged up Hollywood Brown, and he's got Lamar Jackson throwing to him, which he may not have to throw a bunch. The yards aren't there to support it. The touchdowns have been for Lamar Jackson this year, but the yards haven't really been there to support people from a fantasy perspective, in my opinion. So I'm not as high on those guys. And I wouldn't even mind playing Dallas Goedert over any of the receivers on Thursday night. Wow, there's a take for you.
Double tight end, man. Double tight end it. If you're going, with Mark Andrews out as well, it's going to be kind of, well, actually, I shouldn't say he's out. He's got a minor injury he might play, but I'm guessing that they probably won't push it. So, you got to choose between like Nick Boyle, Hayden Hurst, or these two tight ends. Maybe give me those two and in the same lineup, and that's a way we can try.
Yep, definitely. That's a good call out there for Andrews. And then on defense, I'm happy with any of the defense except for the Giants. So just
Fair.
thoughts for that one. I'm going to hit crunch and then go on to the other one. If the Giants win, what does that showdown lineup look like? That's an interesting question there.
I think it's going to be, I mean, it depends on how much, right? So, like, if they just barely sneak it out, then, it could very well still be a 4-2 or a 3-3, just like we've seen before. If they somehow blow out the Eagles, then it could be a 5-1 with, I'm guessing it would be Eli or Saquon in the captain, but I mean, it's probably going to be the passing attack that gets it done. So, that's the contrarian move tonight, right? Is just stacking up the Giants side of this one. If you happen to believe it, I can tell you though that our projections don't like the Giants too much. I have pretty much one, I think, in 200 crunches. I have one other player. Oh, I got one Eli Manning, a few Golden Tates, and in the captain spot, and then the rest are Saquon Barkley and a couple Shepherds as well. So it's not totally outside of the realm of possibility. Not my favorite way to approach the slate though. I just think you're better off probably stacking the Eagles and then trying to find some unique lower owned combos within those Eagles stacks.
I would concur on that. I'm just upping my.
But I'm definitely putting one Eli Manning team in. There's no way. You got to do it.
I think that's absolutely fair. I really do. And I think people are weird stuff can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Eli Manning projected as he is going over owned though, so in that spot. So it is a suboptimal play probably, especially at his price point. We have him projected for 8% ownership and a 2% chance of being the captain spot. As I said earlier in the show, your best bet in terms of leverage from the captain spot is Saquon Barkley, who we have a 30% chance of taking over the top spot, and then actually Miles Sanders. Those two combined for the biggest leverage spots on the slate. So I like both of them. And
where is what is the regular ownership on Sanders? Pardon me, on Barkley.
So the utility ownership is going to be about 40 on Saquon Barkley, 45%.
Okay. Interesting. I thought he was going to be more popular than that. Oh wait, and how many is he in captain? You got to double it.
Yeah, exactly. So 40. So utility ownership 45, and so he's only going to be about 60% owned, which is actually
interesting.
I thought he'd be way more owned than that.
Well, shoot, I thought I was going under the field purposefully because I thought he'd be like 80%, but
those could be off a little bit, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna guess he comes in about 70, 75 maybe, but you never know. Could just be like a roster construction thing. Could be a number of different things. I mean, he is pricey and he hasn't done a lot so far, but yeah, don't hate it. Don't hate it.
What an endorsement. He's pricey and he hasn't done much.
I love him. I took him over Christian McCaffrey at every opportunity this year. So I'm riding strong with him. Arcega Whiteside, big body, red zone target.
Yeah, I'd still rather go with Greg Ward.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, let's get this loaded. And... Oh, interesting. Let's not do it.
While you're doing that, I'll go over some other options here.
Thank you. Sorry, this is
no problem. Carson Wentz we have projected as our top 2 to 6 play. So our top odds of him being one of the best utility players, 75%. That's even a little bit high for a quarterback too. So if you want to lock him in that utility spot, I think that's not a bad move. He's giving you a pretty safe floor there, and even though he's pricey, at least you're getting some discount by not putting him in the captain spot as well. Eli Manning as well, getting a 30% huge leverage spot here, 30% ownership in the utility spot, 60% chance of being one of the top utility players. So if you want to stack up both quarterbacks, those quarterbacks in the same game do correlate well with each other and do have positive correlation. So that's also not a bad way to go.
All right, I am now going to make my showdown lineups. There we go. So, what do we got here? I said Sanders is going to be my lock. So I must hold true to that. We've got, I'm going to have Wentz in my main lineup. And then the questions really start to come in as to where do we go from there. I think it needs to be Goddard. And would you go Goddard Ertz?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a. I mean, I don't think that's going to catch anyone by surprise. I think people are kind of onto that by now, and they know what's up. So, but yeah, I definitely would play both of them in the same lineup. Not even think twice about it. Alshon Jeffrey, kind of going under the radar a little bit probably tonight. We haven't projected equal amounts for the captain and his chances of being there, and maybe a slight bargain for a top 2 to 6. So not getting a ton of ownership though. Alshon Jeffrey, just about 40 to 50% probably, which isn't bad. And then it's tough to take your pick between Tate and Shepard here. Like both are, it seems like they're very kind of right there. Tate probably they I don't know how you choose between them. They're just kind of mix and match, I guess, right?
So here's the lineup, chalk lineup. Sanders at captain, that might be a little bit of a differentiation. Wentz, Ertz, Goddard, Barkley, all made possible by Greg Ward. Done and
Sounds
done.
Good.
Now, normally I don't make these that cavalierly, but I spent 3 hours writing the article that's condensed into the all of these notes and discussion points that we have had. So I'm going to drop that one more time into chat because these are the companion pieces that go with the show. The other thing I want to remind everybody of is our sponsor, FantasyDraft, rake-free fantasy sports. It's amazing. How does that work? Well, if you're like me and not a huge... I've already got 2 sites I concentrate on, but I like to play over there because they oftentimes have a little bit of overlay, and there's no rake. How is there no rake? Well, you have a little subscription. So my subscription is $5.99 for the month. I can play up to $1,000 in entry fees before I need to go up a level. If you don't have a subscription, everybody can play $100 a month. Or every 30 days is how it rolls from whenever you've started. So you're not ever shut out there. And I think that's fair for everybody to jump in. $100 does go a long way. So you definitely want to give those guys a try over there. If you need to bump up to the next level, I think it's like $12 for 3,000. And then, I don't know, Adam's on some bigger one. He was telling me what it was, but it was very reasonable when you consider that if I played $1,000 in entry fees, that would be about $120 to $150 in rake. That would not be coming back to me as part of FanDuel and DraftKings, but instead I'm only paying $5.99 for that. That's a huge, huge, huge difference. The other guy that talks about it a lot in our premium Slack chat is Brick75, Brian Hooper. He has saved tens of thousands of dollars in rake just by playing over there.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's the way to go, man. And I'm migrating over there as well. The more you can play with lower rates, the more you should do it, right? It's just a no-brainer. So
I did one lineup there last week, Nolan, and let me see where it finished because I wanted to enter our free roll so I could see who was going to win it, etc. So I made a cashy type lineup just to say, oh, okay, and of course if we had won, I would have said, no, don't. Give the autographed prize and the month subscription, all that to the next person that wins. I don't need to do that. That's what we used to do at FanVice when I'd enter these contests because I oversaw a lot of them. But people would always like to see where I would end up. Well, that lineup got 7th, not in the free roll of 300 people. It got 7th out of 9,000 people in the 50-50 I was in.
Damn. Dude, that's a rule, man. Anytime you enter a 50-50, you got to put that lineup in a GPP.
I did. So here's what I want to point out. In the spiral, so this is the $1 spiral. Again, I was just making cash lineup. I put it in each. So I got 310th. So I got 7th out of 9,500. But then in the tournaments where everybody's doing all sorts of stuff, I ended up 300th out of 12,300 and whatever. And in our free roll, I ended up 8th. So it was just kind of really weird to me that I was 7th out of that many people in the 50-50. What it shows is people are playing incredibly conservative in those. And I think if you get away from that just a little bit, you don't even have to go crazy, just a little bit, and you'll be fine over there. And that might be enough to boost you up above some of the trains and the chalk lines. So
fair enough. Just like a random thought here as well as I was taking a look at this. I'm guessing that Barkley's ownership is going to go up as we get that because of that Greg Ward price point, and with Aguilar out, I just think he's like as soon as you add in that Greg Ward factor, anything is possible in terms of building lineups. So I would not be surprised to see him a little bit higher.
all right, I should probably upload my crunch now that I'm letting run while I'm downloading my lineups. I'm a little cavalier after winning. I had a very good week last week.
Nice.
Yesterday.
You got to do that when you're up. You got to just like fire away sometimes.
Well,
right?
I'm trying to play consistently because I've been all over the place with these showdowns, but I'm not going to beat myself up on not getting this one perfectly built tonight. So there we go. Sometimes you have to allow yourself a little bit of leeway. All right, good. My main lineup is in there. Let's download the crunch, and then we'll see where we are. So this is where I could have used the other 4 minutes, but we don't have them. So I am running basically 10% captain slot for everybody. I'm not really overdoing it. I'm just going to accept where it goes with this one. So that feels maybe a little bit risky.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oops, but I need to fix this because I set everybody at 10%. That's not what I wanted to do. Just the captains.
Ooh, Zach Smith says Latimer season. I was not getting to much. What about? I'm not getting much Darius Slayton either, and that's Awesimo's golden boy.
I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I guess like it's one of those situations. I got 10%. It's one of those situations where he was killing it with Tate and Shepard out, and now you got both of those guys back in the same lineup, and he's priced up a little bit, but he's still good, man. He's like top 12 in the NFL and ADOT. He's a pretty safe floor. I don't hate to play.
All right, let's do some Eagles captain. I've got a little bit of Eli, and then we're gonna be good to go here.
I don't want it any other way, 'cause I'm here today. 2 minutes, 38 seconds left. Any final questions in there in chat? Is Ward chalk? Yeah, I'm going to guess he's going to be chalk. Let me pull up the recent ownership projections we have here. But I'm going to guess. I don't know. Like,
I'm getting 2% captain for Ward.
Yeah.
And 22% in the field. Yeah, so I don't. That's not the worst thing.
Showdown single game ownership projections. So, Greg Ward did not. We have him for about 20%, 15 to 20%. So, I'm surprised it's that low, but you can also understand it, right? You don't want to go all in on a guy that's $200 and is probably going to get a 30% snap share. But the price is there. He's about the same. He's about the same ownership as J.J. and Arcega-Whiteside and Caden Smith. So all kind of right there in there, but he's a better bargain. So, if the ownership's going to be the same, he's going to be the best play there. The only thing is probably Arcega-Whiteside has, of that bunch, the best chance to catch a touchdown, I'm guessing. Well, Caden Smith as well, probably a better shot than he does. But, those are some pretty good valued options. And then also, Ardrick Rosas not getting much ownership for a kicker. So probably might want to toss him in some of your chalkier builds as well.
How did you feel about shoot, now I'm forgetting the name. Damn it. I'm sorry. That was poor.
Giants? Eagles?
No, sorry. I'm having upload issues here.
That's all right. We only got a minute left anyway, so just check the chat. Will Jeffrey score more than last week? How can Ertz score more?
Oh, how much Eagles did you end up with? The defense.
Oh, the Eagles defense. Let's take a look.
All right, I'm in. Sorry, that was not good.
I had to manually put them in 23%.
I did as well. I ended up with 9, and I got 9% Giants. It was weird that I got the Giants automatically, but I had to force the Eagles in.
I mean, there's your contrarian play right there, Giants deep. But I just, I don't know. I don't have the imagination to see that one coming through. So
So I went Sanders 18%, and this is for half my money. The other half's in play on that main lineup. So I got Sanders at 18, Barkley at 18, Wentz at 12, Goddard at 8, Eli at 8, Eagles defense at 8, Ertz at 8, and Jeffrey at 5, and Caden Smith at 5, Craig Ward at 2. So what I did is I said I was setting it all at 10, but it wasn't spreading it out like I wanted it. So I manually goosed Barkley, Sanders, and Wentz a little bit there. But
Nice.
there we go. We are
all right. It is locked. Let's go not watch this game because it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, maybe there's some basketball on. There may be some hockey.
There's not much hockey on. There's a little bit of hockey.
There's only one slate today for hockey.
What do you mean?
There was like just 4 games.
Yeah, just 4 games. Yeah, Mondays are usually really light on the hockey schedule. Believe it or not, and my Capitals are not doing so well. So that's it's not looking good for your old pal Nolan.
Did you go with the Caps?
I went overweight on the Caps. Yeah,
that's what I usually do when they're on.
Yeah, it's a plus EV move.
Well, Alex Ovechkin's still getting it done after all these years.
Oh, somebody scored. All right, we got a Bergeron goal.
Oh, I thought you were going to say for football. I'm like, how? They're still doing the national anthem.
Anthems, for God's sakes. Simmer down, Nolan.
Jeez Louise.
All
right. Well, let's pop on out of here. Of course, you can. We gave the props to FantasyDraft, but definitely check them out. It's a lot of fun. They've got some basketball over there as well. Very, very relaxed position requirements: 3 guards, three bigs, and then 2 utilities. So it's a lot of fun. It locks early, so you don't have to worry about changing stuff after lock. The other thing they do, if there's just one 7 o'clock game on the slate or 2 and it's a big slate, they'll start their lock time at 7:30 with the next game. So even if you're playing on DraftKings and FanDuel, you can get on over there at FantasyDraft. Oftentimes that'll happen on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. That usually happens. So
Caden Smith, first touchdown score, 25-1.
All right, let's go.
Okay.
Let's get some loonies and toonies.
I like it.
All right. With that, gamers, you can follow Nolan on Twitter at Nolan_Kelly. I am at EmacDFS, and it is Osmo_COM. With that, gamers.